Let's start with this question. For most murder stories, the storyline tends to look for the murderer or the motive behind the murder, more often seeking for the murderer. But what happens when the story begins with telling you who the murderer is? You begin to think, what are we now reading in the story? Or is the name the murderer not the murderer? Or are we looking for the motive? Let's see. This will make us dig deep into this book, The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Let us sit a while and listen to this story about this psychological thriller about a woman named Alicia Berenson, who was said to have killed her husband with 5 shots in the head. Newsflash. I'ma spill everything. There's gonna be spoiler in this one. So you have the option of reading before you watch this, or if you choose to watch anyway before you read, be my guest and let's go. So the story opens up with Alicia killing her husband of 7 years with 5 gunshots to the head. The neighbors heard the gunshots and went and called or phoned the police, and when they came, they found Alicia's husband, Gabriel, in a pool of his own blood, his brain shattered. And Alicia also unconscious, also in a pool of blood. And so the case begins. And one surprising thing is that Alicia does not talk. She was taken to the hospital and was treated. And of course, her husband taken to the mortuary. And after the hospital, she was taken back home, was on home arrest as she was recovering. And while she was in this home arrest, she never spoke. All the while from the moment the murder took place or was said to have taken place to the hospital back to her home, she never spoke. A little bit of a background. Alicia and her husband had been married for 7 years. Alicia was 33 years old when she killed her husband. This couple were known to be in love. They were literally the lovebirds of their time. They doted on each other. They were each other's anchor, and both of them were artists. Alicia painted. She always painted. It took her, she was known to take a lot of time to produce a picture. But one surprising thing was, while she was on home arrest after the murder of her husband, she drew a picture in the shortest of time that she has ever taken to draw before. And she named this picture Alcestis. So after the home arrest and after the trial, Alicia is taken to a psychiatric home called The Grove because she refused to speak. She would not talk to anyone. She did not admit to the murder, nor did she deny it. She did not name anyone. She just didn't say anything. Aside from that drawing, nothing else was known about the murder. And so she was taken to this home to be treated, to speak up, literally, so that whatever caused the death of her husband will be known. We would see that many psychiatrists and many psychotherapists tried all they could to get Alicia to talk, but all to no avail. And she was heavily medicated as a result of this, doing it from both sides, medication, therapy, but none was working. And so enter this man, Theo Faber, a forensic psychotherapist as well, who we are told was so enthralled by the story of Alicia and he so seeks to be the one who would like save her or make her speak up, heal from her trauma, and solve this puzzle of what was going on. And so he applies to the Grove and he gets the job. So he starts working. But we are meant to, or we saw that at the beginning he wasn't vibing well with everybody working in that place, the Grove. It's not surprising, because loads of people have tried to break Alicia, literally get her to talk, all to no avail. So the question and the glances and the looks at him was, you think we don't know what we're doing, we've not done enough, come and do, let us see. So he begins to try to talk to Alicia. He meets other patients as well who are in that, and they have all different stories, or they're suffering from all manner of psychiatric and mental illnesses that you can think of. Some of them, amongst them, are also murderers. Amongst them are people who have committed all manner of crimes in the society and have gone, maybe, let me use the word, psycho or something like that. And so he starts talking to Alicia. Starts trying to talk to Alicia. Alicia would not speak to him. She just gazes upon him, gazes when he finishes talking, trying to, talking is a form of therapy as well. And he will go. And in his attempt to break even, to solve this case, he also makes contact with people outside the psychiatric home. And the people that he made contact with, one of them is Jean Felix. Jean Felix is the one that was managing the gallery where Alicia sold her paintings. Jean told him that Alicia had made this Alcestis painting during her home arrest, and advised him to go and read about the story of that name she wrote on that painting. The name was Alcestis, so he told him to go and read the story. He also made contact with Paul, who was Alicia's cousin, and this gave him an insight into Alicia's childhood. And the things that was revealed to him was, one, Alicia had a bit of a troubled childhood. She lost her mother to a car accident, and she had a kind of a tumultuous upbringing with her father. She had it rough with her father, and she also had an unpleasant aunt. And one of the things that struck him in the revelation that Paul gave him was that when Alicia's mother died, Alicia's father made a comment, and unknown to him, Alicia heard it. And the comment was that he wished it was Alicia that died instead of his wife. This broke Alicia, and Paul knew it too. He also met Max, who was Alicia's brother-in-law, the brother to Gabriel, also asking him to know about Alicia and her life before the mother. Max revealed to him that Alicia had been seeing a therapist as well, and Gabriel knew about all that. But the reason why Alicia was seeing the therapist was unknown to Max. But then Max did not like the visit that Theo made, so he called the Grove, and the home warned him not to go making contact with relatives of Alicia. But this did not make him stop. One of the things about this book was that the narration was in different parts. So there was a narrator telling this story of this recent time of Alicia's stay in the psychiatric home and all that was happening between her and the psychiatrist and psychotherapist. And there was also Alicia herself narrating the stories from her diary. She was keeping a diary before Gabriel's death. So she practically wrote down everything about her day in this diary. She went with this diary to the home. And even after Gabriel's death, she continued to write. So Theo confronts Alicia with the story that Paul told him about her childhood. He had known that what had happened during that her childhood must have affected her in her home, but that still did not solve it. Also, in her diary, she had written that her brother-in-law was making advances at her. That was the same Max that told him about Alicia visiting the therapist. Max was making advances at her, had tried to touch her inappropriately, but she didn't tell Gabriel all this. She had written all this down in her diary as well. Who knows, maybe that was the reason why Max was uncomfortable with Theo's visit and felt that he might be brought into the open. Who even knows if he had a hand in the murder? We'll see. So Theo confronts Alicia with this story, what her father did, and she tries to open up gradually. Man, this was a great win for Theo. He was making a great win. He was making giant strides. Remember I told you that he was told to go and read a book, Alcestis, that was written in the picture that Alicia painted after the death of her husband. So the story of that Alcestis was a myth of a woman who offered to sacrifice herself in place of her husband, and her husband was all too willing to give her up. Of course, she died and came back after life. So that was the story. So all these things we're trying to give an insight into what really happened. But if he doesn't hear it from the horse's mouth, I mean Theo, if he doesn't hear it from the horse's mouth, he cannot fix the pieces of the puzzle together. And so on one of the days in his advances, in his advance in getting Alicia to talk, Alicia opens up. And what did Alicia tell him? She told him that on the night of their murder, someone came into their home and used a rope to tie both of them on different seats. And this same person tied them, shot her husband, tried to kill her, because when Alicia was found on the night of their murder, she had cuts on her wrists. She was bleeding out. She was almost dead by the time they got her. So it was this intruder into their home that actually killed Gabriel and framed Alicia for it. Wow. So all this while, it wasn't Alicia that killed Gabriel. You see what I said about murder case? That the killer being named first is suspicious, right? But the story doesn't end there. You will think that's where, oh, okay. No, the story doesn't end there. Because the following morning, after Alicia makes this revelation, she is found comatose, near dead, drug overdose. And the person who was said to have had a hand in this was Christian, one of the men working in that home, who was not having it great with Theo. They were on the parallel side. That's what I will use to define their relationship. They were not seeing each other eye to eye. But why would Christian want to kill Alicia, you will think? Well, at this point, let me tell you a little bit about Theo Faber. Theo Faber was a man who had it rough also while growing up. He had an abusive father. He saw himself like worthless because of how his father verbally abused him and took him for a good-for-nothing son. He had loads and loads of mental issues while growing up. And so he eventually found succor with a therapist who helped him. And that was one of the reasons why he became a therapist. And that was why he was also interested in Alicia's case and wanted to help her, because he also had a traumatizing childhood. Theo had a wonderful wife. In fact, his wife changed his world. She was vibrant. She was everything. She was literally his whole world. She was a model, a supermodel. So you can imagine how beautiful she would be to be a supermodel. but she was everything to him. Sometimes he would wake up feeling like it is so good to be true that I, who was seen to be worthless, eventually married this damsel. Yes. But something happened. Ooh. One day he was going through her laptop and he found out that she was having an affair. And he traced who she was having an affair with and found the person she was having an affair with. Okay, back to present time. After Kristen has been locked up and Alicia still in coma between life and death, a few months after, Theo did not divorce his wife because he found that she had cheated on him, that she was being unfaithful. They still lived together, but they were now unhappy. The truth came out, so they were both unhappy. And one day they receive a knock on their door, and it's a police officer. And in his hands, he's holding the diary that Alicia was keeping. And so he read this diary, or the last bits of this diary, to Theo. And what did he read? That there was someone that was stalking Alicia. Of course, Theo knew about it. There was someone who had been stalking Alicia, and she told her husband, Gabriel, about it. Now, this stalker was the same intruder that came into their home. This intruder tied both of them up in different seats and revealed that Gabriel was having an affair. And after this revelation, because Alicia did not know, and after this revelation, he gave Gabriel the choice to choose which of them was going to die, because he was going to shoot. He came into their house with a gun. And he gave them the choice. He gave Gabriel the choice, not both of them, just Gabriel, to choose who was going to die. And guess who Gabriel chose? Himself. No, he chose to save himself. That means he chose to sacrifice Alicia. The second time someone very dear to Alicia was sacrificing her for something she was so innocent about. This intruder did not shoot. That is the intriguing thing about what Alicia told Theo and what was actually written in her diary that truly happened. This intruder leaves the house. But then Alicia unties herself, picks up the gun, and shoots her husband. So truly, Alicia shot her husband 5 times. And do you know who the intruder was? Theo Faber. Gabriel Berenson was having an affair with Kathy, Theo Faber's wife, and he found out. He was stalking Alicia all those while and planning his intrusion into their house. So he knew that Alicia recognized him when he came to the home. And another interesting and intriguing part was, after Alicia had gave him that different version in the home before she was drugged, he knew that Alicia was lying. And so he actually was the one that drugged her. How did we find out? Because Alicia penned it down. Alicia wrote that she knew that he knew that she was lying. And she became scared because of the look in his face and how he reacted. And she was afraid for her life, for she knew that he would do something drastic. And so even when he came into her room to inject her with that overdose, she was just writing the last part that he has come, but she cannot do anything about it. Something like that. What a man. So my question is, why did Theo Faber follow Alicia? He didn't commit the crime quite all right, but he was the intruder in their home. He was the reason why that murder was committed. And he knew. And he came in form of the therapist. Can you imagine that? Did he come to remove the guilt from himself or prove that he was innocent? Or no, I think he came to make sure that Alicia did not recognize him, because he was a bit masked, but Alicia somehow recognized him. And so when he found out that Alicia recognized him, he tried to kill her. So that means he wasn't healed yet. or maybe he was healed, but the unfaithfulness of his wife brought back all the trauma and all the demons that he had locked up before. It kind of opened up that door to them. Did you see that coming? If I'm being honest, I read this book on a recommendation. I knew who Theophaba was before I started reading the book. But then, as the story was unfolding, I really asked the question, are you sure Theophaba did this? Because the way he was telling the story and the way he was like the victimized one here, I mean his father's abuse, and then his wife being unfaithful, all that. I was like, he sounds too good to be the one at the center of all this. And the fact that he went as far as overdosing Alicia, even in her state, does not speak well of him. So, my dear bookers, this is where I will wrap it up with this psychological thriller, The Silent Patient. Did you enjoy it? If you've read it, what do you think? My dearest amigos, this is where we'll come to the end of this session, this interesting session of The Silent Patient. Let me hear your thoughts. I want to see what you think of the different characters if you've read it. And if you've not, I know we spoiled it, but I still want you to give it a read, because this was just a summary. There are loads of things that still happen that you will be quite interested to know about. All right, until next time. Bye.